Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and as you can tell, we are feeling in the pink today. Let's take a look at this quilt behind me. Isn't this fun? This is a rhombus quilt made with our rhombus tool. It's made in long columns, super easy to make. I can't wait to show you. So to make this quilt, what you're going to need is 2 yards of a background color, and we've used Bella White right here, and it takes care of our rhombus and the strip. You're going to need 1 3/4 yards of a print or a solid, and we've used this Grunge Basics, and it's by Basic Gray for Moda, and I just love the grunge fabric. It's really fun. For your backing, you're going to need 3 1/2 yards, and again, we've just used the same Grunge Basics on the back, and it just makes a really pretty quilt. So let me show you how to do this, because this is really fun. So you're going to take your yardage when you're ready to cut it into rhombus strips, and you're going to cut a 5-inch strip right here like this. And I am just going to lay my ruler right along the edge because this is a 5-inch ruler. Oh, even the rotary cutter's pink. 5-inch ruler, and we are going to just cut a 5-inch strip right here. All right, now we're going to take our 5-inch strip and we're going to get our rhombus tool and we're going to cut our rhombus, our little rhombus shapes out of those. This is the rhombus shape, and I love this shape. We use it for a lot of different things, and it's just a really fun shape to work with because it's so easy. All right, so now you can see, let me just show you this real quick here. So you can see that because we cut a 5-inch strip, there's no cutting on this side. So you're basically just cutting these 2 sides. So I've moved this over as far as I can get it to the edge right there. And I'm cutting this and my little notch and this little notch and this right here. And then you have your rhombus sets right here. Now, we're going to make these in columns of 12. So let me show you how easy this is to sew together. We're going to take our 2 pieces, a white and a pink, and we are going to put them together like this. You're going to sew this together in long columns like this. So we're sewing this whole section right here at a time, and you're going to sew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those. And so let me show you how to sew these together because this is really, really easy. So you're going to lay these so they line up. I like to lay them so that you can see that it's straight, because every side of a rhombus is the same size, so you could sew any side, but it's going to make different things every time. So we are going to sew these together so they make a straight line, and then I'm going to just lay this back on the other one. I'm going to line it up as close as I can get it, and then I'm going to sew 1/4 inch right down the side. Now sometimes when we sew these, they get a little off. The thing about that is that as long as you can still catch that in the 1/4 inch seam, that's all that matters. So we're going to sew this and see how close I get right here. All right, now let's go press this open and see how I did. All right, first I'm going to lay this on here and I'm going to set this seam right here. And then I'm just going to fold it back like this. And we didn't do too bad. We're a little bit off. Here, let's look at this. So see how this is a little bit off right here? Tiny bit. But still, we'll be able to catch that in that 1/4 inch seam. So I'm going to say that's okay with me. All right, so you're going to sew 12 of those together. Now, the one thing you have to watch on this is you have to watch your direction, because one strip, they're going to go this way. You know, one strip is going to go in and one strip is going to go out. And let's see here. So see how one goes in and one goes out? I mean, they come out this way. So you're going to make 5 of each of these, and then we're going to put the little 1.5 inch strips in between them. Now on the quilt here, you can see that every other row, every other row is white, pink, like that, and you'll just want to lay that out and make sure that works. That's really easy to do. So you're going to sew your strip like this, and you're going to have to sew a couple of pieces together to get the length you need. And make sure this piece is on the back. I can't even tell you how many times I've been sewing along, especially with a solid, and then up comes my seam on the top. So just check that out, because we don't want to do that. All right, so you're just going to lay this strip on here. You're going to sew it to this side and to that side, and you just want to make sure that these 2 pieces match up. So let's go ahead and sew that strip on so you can see how easy this is. And I'm just going to gather my strip and sew 1/4 inch right down the side. I'm matching up this little top piece a little bit right here. I'm actually hanging it over just a hair. And again, we're going to just sew 1/4 inch right down the side. Alrighty, now we're going to want to press this open, and I'm just going to set my seam and roll it back. I like to press in between because it's easier to see how to line them up if your strip is laying nice and flat. And we want that to line up. And I can't tell you how glad I was as I'm sewing along and I had my little seam was going the right direction. You know, that has always this little, oh, did I actually fix that again? So anyway, it worked and I'm glad. All right. All right, so now we're going to line up this other one. And you can actually use your strip, how it went up here at the top. So see how right here, let me show you this. See how I'm just like a tiny bit up right here? I'm going to go a tiny bit up right there and make sure those stay together. And then I'm just going to lay this back on here like this. And I'm going to stick a little pin in here. I know you're shocked. There we go. And then I'm just going to stick a pin down here at this junction because I want to make sure that when I open this up, it's going to go in the right place. And it's a little hard to tell because it's an inch away from its buddy over there. So let's go ahead and sew this and see if it lines up close. I'm hopeful. I'm feeling really hopeful. All right. Take my pin out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and peek here and make sure it's lining up. Oh yeah, that looks really good. All righty. So now we can just sew down the side. All right, I'm going to peek again. Still good, still good. Hooray. The reason why I feel like I have to check again is because the feed dogs take in more fabric than the top fabric, so there's a real chance it could shift a little bit. And so we want to make sure that we keep those right together. And you may want to go ahead and pin them all the way down the side. I'm just living on the edge here. Alrighty, let's see how we did here. Hey, those look pretty good. Very nice. All right, let me press this back. So then what you're going to do is right along the next side, once you get this all pressed nice and flat, what you're going to do is you're going to sew a pink strip to the next side, and it's going to work exactly the same way. And it's just going to go together so quick and easy. I just think you'll be surprised at how fast this quilt really is. All right, once you get your strip all pressed nice and open, it's time to add the pink strip on, and it's just going to go right next to it. So when you've got all your columns done and they're together and you're ready to straighten off the top of your quilt and the bottom, I guess you could leave it pointy. That would be an interesting look, but we cut ours straight off on the top and straight off on the bottom, so it would be nice, straight, square quilt. I just use the edges of my pieces. So right here, I'm just going to cut this straight across. And these will be extra right here. And somebody's going to do something really clever with those. I just know it. But I just cut it straight off the top like that and squared up our quilt. And this makes a quilt that is 54 by 60. So we're calling this Strings Attached. And it's just a really fun, quick quilt. And we hope you enjoyed this tutorial from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.